Today on Unscripted, are you struggling with your health? Is someone you know struggling with their health and you don't know how to reach out to them or support them? We're going to look at the February issue of the Adventist Review and answer a lot of questions I know that you have asked yourselves. Hey, welcome to Unscripted, brought to you by the good people at the Adventist Review. It is the finest thing you're going to find on YouTube or social media or the internet today, and it's where you can find out what's really going on with your church and how to find a little motivation for mission, understand our message a little more deeply, and maybe, well, think of ways that you could serve in your community. And sitting down with me today is not my boss, Justin Kim. It is, Sikhu, I can't even pronounce your real name. I call you Sikhu, but what is your name?
Everyone calls me Sikhu.
Okay, but what is your birth, what does it say on your birth certificate?
One
more time.
That's my maiden name, Tlatwayo.
Okay, so the whole thing again. Sikhu, I can't do it. And there is a prize, a free subscription to the Adventist Review. If you can pronounce that, send the recording in and let us know. But we call
Zimbabweans are going to win.
Oh, Zimbabwe. Open to all except Adventist Review employees and citizens of Zimbabwe. But you were born in Zimbabwe, and here you are at the Adventist Review. Tell me a little bit about your journey. You are the other associate editor. I kind of focus on media and engagement. You focus on the magazine and content. And how did you end up here?
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I know. So in 1 minute or less, what is your life story? I mean, you're pretty young. So.
Yeah. Born in Zimbabwe. I went to school in Canada.
Yay!
Canada. Yeah. And we discovered actually we went to the same church except a decade removed.
Oh, two decades. It's 2 decades.
Really? Was it 2?
I think so. I left in the mid-90s.
I got there early 2000s.
Okay, a decade apart.
So about a decade apart.
So they needed to class things up after they threw me out is what happened. So you ended up going to school in Canada.
So I went to school in Canada for 2 years. My dad traveled for work and he got his graduate studies outside of Zimbabwe. So I always, growing up, wanted to be, what do you call them, like an educational tourist? Academic tourist. So I figured I'd travel and get my education and then go back to Zimbabwe. I ended up in Massachusetts for my bachelor's at Wellesley College.
Ooh, Wellesley.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great school.
Yes, I learned a lot and have been unlearning a lot.
Okay.
But I went to Wellesley for my undergrad, and then after that, well, actually, while I was there, I sensed God calling me to campus ministry.
Right.
Campus ministry was a big part of, I guess, my coming into adulthood in my faith. You're experiencing all these questions about what you believe, just approaching my Christianity, my Adventism from an intellectual perspective, from an intellectual angle. So it was a journey of trying to figure that out, and I am Seventh-day Adventist today because the Adventism bore the scrutiny that I put it under. And I just wanted to provide a support system for other young people going through that experience, that what we believe from the Bible can stand the test of time. Like, you can question it and come out believing what we believe. At least that's why I'm still here.
Okay.
So I went into public campus ministry after that, got some training, worked in campus ministry, and then went back to Andrews for my master's, back to campus ministry, and then to the GC.
And you ended up in the GC building from there. But you didn't start at the Adventist Review. You've had a varied experience in this building.
Well, I worked at Sabbath School Personal Ministry on the Inverse Bible Study Guide. I was working with Justin, actually. My current boss was my previous boss at Sabbath School Personal Ministry, developing the Bible Study Guide for young adults.
Fun. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal experience. I guess they must have kicked me out because I'm not a young adult anymore or something.
That is a painful, folks, that is a painful moment when you realize I'm not part of the youth group anymore.
No, I've been looking forward to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that ship sailed for me years ago. When I walk into a youth room and they go, "Sir, what are you doing here?" And "sir" hurts too.
Sir, it's ma'am or auntie for me now.
Oh, really? Auntie?
Yes.
Does auntie hurt a little bit? Does it hurt a little bit, or do you like it?
It's interesting. Like, I had a grown adult working man calling me auntie, and I was like, I guess I am.
Ah.
Yeah. Yep.
You're there.
It's
But
okay.
you're not gray at all. So
No.
just wait till you, well, you won't get a gray beard. I hope you don't. I
No,
pray you don't get a gray
amen,
beard. Yeah,
amen.
but
From your mouth to God's ears.
let's talk about, I mean, you are, your primary responsibility is actually that magazine that people arrive, the content, and you lead out our editorial discussions. February. Show us the
Yes.
February issue. Look at it. Hey, folks, just so you know, if you're not getting this in your home, like, why? Why would you miss this? Seriously, why would you miss this? This tells you what's going on in the world church. This will show you what others are doing to lead people to Christ. This belongs in your home, and you need to get your hands on a copy. Go to AdventistReview.org, search around a little bit. You'll find a way to get this to your home. It's not even expensive. I mean, the best deal going, you want it. Now, February. Talk to us a little bit about February's issue.
February, by the way, we have recently started doing cover illustrations for, and illustrations of some of the articles, which for one is just a whole lot of fun. We're looking at the different illustrations that are suggested for the content in the article. And then I said that because that's an argument for the physical copy.
Right.
When you get on, we have all the content online. Actually, we have more content than is in the magazine online, but you don't get the experience that you get, with a physical copy. And I'm a paper person.
Don't you love the smell of a brand new magazine?
Love it.
I do too.
Absolutely.
And if you love the smell of a brand new magazine, why have you not yet subscribed?
Okay, right. I think they got it.
You got the point?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about this one, this cover.
So this cover, the cover article is Not One Miracle. That's on page 8. And it was actually written by Emily Gibbs, whom I'm not tight friends with, but I know and, follow her on Facebook. So she writes about her experience being diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was pregnant with her second child. And I remember, when she was posting about it online, it was just heartbreaking. And you're worried about the baby, you're worried if she's going to make it. But in the article, I loved the article because she's just really raw, in her description of what she went through. And she talks about how she had started this health journey years and years ago in efforts to, be more healthy, live more healthfully. And then when she got this diagnosis, the first question is, but why, God? Why? And then as she goes through the experience, she talks about that God didn't take away everything, it didn't disappear magically, but she was gone through all the treatments, and she's coming out on the other side, and she asks once again, why? Why, God? Why do I get to survive this experience when other people have not? So it's kind of through her experience looking at this idea of what is the health message for? What's its purpose? What are we doing as the Adventist Church with this whole health thing?
Yeah. This one to me spoke a lot, and some people know, you know, and maybe others don't. I had a significant challenge. We're already 15 years past the significant challenge, but I thought it was lights out for me. I actually had an experience where I was getting ready to explain to my children, Daddy won't be here next year. And this spoke to me, and I don't know how many of you have been through something like this. This spoke to me. It's like, wait a minute, I did all the right things.
Right.
I ate the way I'm supposed to eat. I followed the health message, and I worked full time for you, Lord. And I now call it failing the Job test. I failed the Job test. But I remember wigging out at one point. I lost it. I mean, I'm human. Lord, me, really? It's like God owed me something. I was like, Lord, really, I work 90-hour weeks. I never take vacations, and maybe that's why I got sick, come to think of it.
Have mercy.
Yeah, no, but that's part of the health message too.
Yep.
And yet, I'm like, Lord, you're going to let me go out like this, young, leave my wife widowed, really, like this? And I slowed down and I thought, okay, number one, God owes us nothing after we sinned. He doesn't owe us salvation. He doesn't owe us any of these things. And is the health message about saving me every time I demand it? Is it?
And is saving me just about my physical health?
Right.
Like, and I mean, I know we're not talking about it yet, but
Yeah, I know.
the second article, like right after Emily's article, he's talking about just that. Is John Shin, and he's a, what is no, he's
at Loma Linda, and
Loma Linda. He's like, works on cancer and.
Yeah, he's an oncologist, isn't he?
Oncologist, yes.
Yeah, medical oncologist at
That's
Loma
the
Linda.
word.
Yeah. I need notes. Sikhu's smart. She has it all up
No,
here.
but clearly
I
I
have to
need
bring
notes.
an iPad.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, and notice I even have an iPad branded to the review today because I
Except
forgot the case.
you're not hiding the apple. You're
No.
supposed to hide the apple.
There we go.
Because, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure we're done with Emily. I want to come to Dr. Shin, but what did Emily's article say to you specifically? For me, it was like, you know what, I went through this, and I actually got mad at God. Turns out I'm human. I used to like, oh, Job, you weak man of faith. Turns out I'm wired just like him. It's like we have a breaking point. I actually am convinced that the breaking point brought me into a closer relationship to Christ. Not that God, we have to be really careful. God didn't make me sick,
Right.
you know, but He will use our brokenness to let us realize just how broken we are sometimes. I wasn't just physically broken. Apparently, I was still somewhat spiritually broken, right? It's like, okay, I'm the golden boy, I'm a preacher, I'm an evangelist, I should sail through to the end. But out of 12 disciples, one dies a natural death. One. And that wasn't great either. And God sat me down and said, so you're special on what front here? My son died, was abused, was lonely, was tired, and you're special how?
Right.
And I realized, oh, I do depend on you. And I serve you, and this is your calendar, your agenda, and if I have faith, eternity's coming. God gets to lead me through this anyway. But for you, how did it speak to you?
I mean, that's just it, like with the title, Not One Miracle, because a lot of times we are praying for that one miracle. We're praying for the physical healing. And then God sometimes says no to the physical healing, but He's working out not just that one miracle that we're praying for, He's working out way more in our lives. And I believe, you know, just looking at Emily's story, and she's still going through it, you know, this is a very raw experience, she's not writing about something that's way in the past, that God blessed her with this testimony, and I'm thankful that she was willing to share it.
Right.
That becomes a witness as well, that even through this story, I think the Not One Miracle even continues now as we read her testimony about what God is working in her life, that she was willing to realize that God has more in store than just her physical well-being. She does say towards the end, yes, maybe the health message helped her to weather that storm better than if she didn't have the health message. So it's not that we shouldn't take care of our health and discount everything because what's going to happen is going to happen, but that ultimately what God is looking for is not our physical well-being. That's just, it's a tool that He uses in His hands. Like He wants to save all of us.
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's an important aspect of the health message, and we're springboarding into our discussion a little bit out of the content. You really do want to read this month's issue. You want to read it because it'll give you opportunity to think about who you are with God and what our role in this world is. For me, I didn't grow up Adventist. I always grappled with this idea that I'm a container for a ghost. I always grappled with that. In the Advent, you know, that my body is just a vehicle, and it's. And
kind of like the dualism.
Yeah, the dualism. A lot of the world sort of looks, we've adopted Greek thinking, particularly in the West. And even many Christians today treat their bodies as disposable.
Right.
And this is not a container. It's not like a car and I get a new, no, this is me. This is me, my body is me, and if Jesus saved me, bought me with His blood, He owns the whole thing. My body's not disposable. This is me, and I put myself in His service. The health message is a response to God's love. It is like, okay, I will do what I can. Understanding, and this is important, I think a lot of people don't understand this. If Jesus doesn't come, I'm still going to die. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, I live by the health message. What I'm doing is bettering the odds that I'm able to serve God better. And yes, statistically, we live longer. We do. You know, Women have the bigger advantage, it seems. You guys get a decade. We get about, what, 6 or 7 years?
Because we add social interaction in there as well.
Yeah, I think that social interaction matters, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Plus, men have this, oh yeah, you think that's brave, watch this. I mean, we do that too. There's a reason we die younger. But it's bettering the odds. And I have to explain that to new Adventists sometimes. Yeah, you're doing what you can, understanding that the best of us still get cancer. Still, we're going to die if Jesus doesn't come. It's a response and service. We lose everything eventually, our health, our money, our assets, everything, and one day we get everything that Jesus owns. So this is an important reminder that this is not some kind of ironclad guarantee that you're going to live on easy street.
Right, right. And just to add to that, I mean, yes, to better the odds of us living longer to do God's will.
Yeah.
And just the fact that our bodies are His, as you said. So even if I don't live long, respecting the God who gave me this body, it's a stewardship thing, you know?
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
My body is not mine. So there's no way I could be a believer in a creator God who is intentional in His creation and all of these things, and then mistreat, while claiming to love Him, and then mistreat what He has created. Right. You know, there's a dissonance there. And to your point, and I think, are we there yet with John Shin?
Oh yeah, we're ready to move into John Shin.
Okay, because...
Or this show's going to be 4 hours. It's going to be 4 hours. No, let's pivot to the John Shin article also in your February edition.
Yeah, because I was going to say with John Shin's article, I think hits exactly what you're talking about. As a doctor, you know, working with people and with their health, helping people to realize that, I think the article is Dying to Live, that it's not just about your physical body and trying to live long on this earth, but that there's more behind it. Like, life on this earth is temporary because we live in a sinful world, and that's going to be the reality no matter what, as you were saying. But there's a role that the health message plays. There's a role that living on this earth plays. There's a role that the way we take care of our bodies plays. But the bigger picture is salvation, is what God is working out for our salvation individually, for the salvation of the world, and ultimately for the unification of all things, as it talks about in Ephesians.
Beautiful. Yeah, Ephesians is big, and we're going to springboard into all kinds of... We have long theological discussions at the Adventist Review some days, but everything is redeemed eventually. That theme in Ephesians. John Shin pointed out something that, you know, we've talked about our response and so on. He gets into just a little bit near the top of the article, our response to other people who are suffering, and he tells this story of a woman who is not getting her second miracle. There's a woman who gets a first miracle, if I'm remembering this right, but doesn't get the second one, and someone comes along and say, well, have you recommended a plant-based diet to her? Like an Adventist doctor would forget that. But it's amazing how we think that this is the dicey thing. We have this beautiful health message, but people need to want it. You don't knock on somebody's door who's suffering. I've had people do this to non-Adventist families. Oh, they've got cancer. I know of a woman who showed up at their doorstep. You ate cheese, didn't you? Like, how useful is that? It just heaped, it's like Job's friends. We're heaping more condemnation, more suffering on that person when they're already struggling with that question anyway. I appreciated the fact that he brought this out. Did you cover the health message? Yeah, but some people die anyway.
And I have had some people say to me, well, if you were following the health message, you wouldn't have gotten XYZ, or you wouldn't get sick, or people would not get sick if it's as if the health message is just about preventing getting sick, right? And then what happens in the situation where an individual does get sick? And God forbid it's the person who thinks that following the health message will prevent any kind of ailment, you know, ever touching them. But that isn't the point. Like, the stewardship and the whole purpose of that is the longevity that we get, which is not even for our own sakes, it's for the gospel ultimately. You know, so it's kind of like an internal, me-focused way of looking at health, which I think, you know, you see that in the world. Like, the world right now is like all about health.
Yeah, it is. In some ways, some corners of the world have kind of bypassed us and taken over what should have been God's remnant church.
But the purpose and why you're doing it, because I want to live longer on this earth, and the focus will never be God because it's not starting from there. And so it's different though for an Adventist. And John Shin talks about, he shares his personal testimony. I don't want to take away from the whole article.
No. Leave enough that you have to go and get your magazine.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty nuts, his story, because from what he shares about what he was, who he was before he became a medical oncologist, to who he has become now, and the way that he thought about natural remedies versus, quote, modern medicine,
right,
and the interventions of that nature, that it's pretty crazy that he ends up being a medical oncologist. But ultimately, finding that ground where what is the health message for, what is it about for us as Seventh-day Adventists? Yeah,
I appreciated that very much, that particular bit. Some people refer to it allopathic medicine, right? Drugs, surgery, that kind of thing. And yeah, there is a line where maybe you're over-medicating, maybe you're doing this or that. But when you're in stage 4 cancer, I appreciate the fact he says, don't tell people it's a sin to rely on modern science to help. To help. It's not all bad. I can't tell you as a pastor how many people I have buried who said, no, I'm not going to go to a doctor. I read somewhere that carrot juice diet is going to fix, and they drank so much carrot juice that I wish I was making this up. They were starting to turn a tint of orange.
Yeah.
And then I buried them, and I begged, okay, there's a time and a place. And I know some people that run natural health centers who tell me, people wait too long. They're in stage 4, they show up here, and natural remedies isn't the whole picture anymore. I'm not bashing it, by the way, and if you're going to write a letter of complaint about what I just said, address it to Sikhu Daco at the Adventist Review, right? 12501,
sure,
Old Columbia Pike.
Sure.
No, but really, please don't tell people it's a lack of faith when they're really ill and decide to get help.
And I know we don't have time to talk about another article that's in here about science, because it kind of Dr. Zeno Charles Marseille, who is the Health Ministries director, writes an article about what is science, and he has a line in there where he's like, yes, the scientific inquiry may have misled us in some cases, and it's not always right, etc. But he says this shouldn't lead to cynicism. It should lead to discernment. And I thought that was just right on point. So no, we don't just blindly follow science.
Right.
And yes, Seventh-day Adventists have been given a health message that in a lot of ways is light years ahead of science, right? And yet, what we need to do is not become cynical, but become discerning.
Right. I appreciate how often Ellen White says, I've given all this advice, and I still expect you to exercise some common sense.
Right.
You still have a God-given brain. And again, I'm not endorsing anything in particular. I'm not condemning anything in particular. I think as a pastor and an evangelist, I think the thing for me is, look, if one of your friends is suffering, they don't need your medical advice. Unless they ask for it. Hey, I understand you struggled with an autoimmune condition, what did you do? If they're asking, that's one thing. They don't need your advice so much as they need your love. They need your love. I don't know how many people, some people made fun of me when I became a Christian, and as life went by, decades later, they're getting sick, and they say, okay, what did you find? When they're asking, time to share. But what they appreciate and what seems to help them on the path to healing more than the advice, and the advice is good, please. Ministry Healing is an important book. I love it. But more powerful than that is the love I'm showing, is the love they get, I'm not alone in this universe. And not alone in this universe is a road to healing, physical healing, spiritual healing, so on. They need our love and compassion as much or more than the health advice.
Right, and so at the end of
sorry,
John's, I completely
I turned everything into a sermon.
No, preach.
Yeah.
At the end of John's article, and it's titled "Dying to Live," his point is that sometimes it takes the death of the physical body and that process to bring about life, because what God is ultimately aiming for is for our salvation. He's aiming for life eternal, not just life on this earth. I think even as we're dealing with people who are struggling, going through different ailments and stuff, if we keep that in mind and keep that in the fore of our minds, it changes the way that we're relating to them. We're not just trying to save their life here. We're concerned about their eternal salvation and their relationship with God.
Let's highlight one more article. We only have like 3 minutes left, but one that I love in this month's edition deals with James and Ellen White's marriage. And there's no way to do this in 3 minutes, but I love this one. I thought there is so much to relate to in here that made me feel better. I had a young person call me a while ago. I'm married and we had an argument. My marriage is failing. I said, how long you married? Well, a year. It's like, so you've had an argument and you think it's over? It's like, yeah. I said, okay, I'm married 30 years and we argue all the time. You do? Yeah, I'm just better at it than you. I've learned how to
You win?
Disagree. No.
Okay.
No, okay, yeah. No, I never win. I've won one in 30 years, I think. But
oh, wow, you actually know.
now we're
That's
way
impressive.
off the rails. No, but the point is I've learned how to disagree, and you learn as you go. No marriage is perfect. And reading about, this is from Gerson Rodriguez. And I hope I said Gerson right. It's Gerson, isn't it?
I don't know. Sometimes they say Gerson.
Gerson, yeah. This one spoke to me. They struggled with poverty. They struggled with not having a home. They struggled with having to farm their kids out. I don't know. What did you find in there? I just like, oh my goodness, my marriage is normal.
I mean, of course, being a mom, the not being with your children because you're out doing ministry.
Yeah.
When I first, not in this article, but when I first read about, I was reading Ellen White's diaries. I was over at Andrews, like at the bottom of the library, and they got like
downstairs in the archive there.
Yeah. And I was reading her diary entries, and it was just heartbreaking. I wasn't even a mother then, but I was like, man, like being away from your children and what they had to go through. And then you're like, wow, the pressures, the real life pressures that puts on a marriage relationship. The strain of constantly entertaining people in your home. Like, it was never just the two of them. Like,
I'm an introvert. Just entertaining people is like, oh no.
Yeah, but they had such a deep, one thing that stood out in the article for me was they had a deep respect for one another. They actually respected each other's ministry and the contribution that they brought to God's work. I mean, that, for me, that like really impacted me, that in spite of all of the things, the love that they had for each other was one that was respectful towards one another, and seeing that God is working in your ministry and God is working through you, I think it was beautiful.
I took comfort in the fact, again, I'm back to arguing. It's not that Gina and I argue all the time, we don't, but they argued. They had a wayward kid. They had, if you've struggled in your family or your marriage, this one's for you. All right, folks, February, we are running out of time, but the February issue, Sikhu, thank you so much for joining me today. It's like, this is the smart half of the Adventist Review. This is me. And this is the February issue. Again, if you go to AdventistReview.org, I think you do have to scroll down a little bit. We'll try and work on that for you a little bit, but get a subscription. It's not expensive, and if you really want to know what's going on in the church, what you want to do now is get a copy of this. This comes from the church. You'll see that the church is busy worldwide and doing God's work, grounded in the Bible, focused on mission is the sort of emphasis of the church. Until next time.